Rescuing a reptile, it can be a very rewarding experience, especially when you take in an animal that might not have been taken care of the best or neglected in some cases. You know, rehabilitating something that really isn't looking that well to turning it into something that really thrives in captivity is definitely an amazing thing. However, I'm seeing a rising trend of people that don't really grasp the concept about what a reptile rescue is and instead are buying reptiles from big chain pet stores and then marking it as being a rescue. So today I thought I'd make a video and really clear up some of this misinformation, and to help me today is actually my own rescue, this gargoyle gecko, who I actually did rescue from a pet store, which I'll get a little bit into later on how rescuing from a pet store can be done. Now I get it. I've walked into the big chain pet stores before, you know, the Petcos and the PetSmarts, and the reptile section is not the best. Pretty far the worst that out of usual pet stores that I see, and a lot of the animals are really not looking good. I see a lot of animal at the Petcos and the PetSmarts that really are looking either underfed, dehydrated, stressed, are just in incorrect setups, and the list goes on. They just really are not taking care of their animals correctly. However, as I say this does not mean when you buy a reptile from them that you are rescuing them, and I'll explain a bit to why this rescue actually is horrible for the animals. Now, to explain how this is really not the best scenario of what you're doing and you're actually hurting more animals than you are doing good, we're gonna have to get a little bit into the business side and talk a little bit about supply and demand. Now, when we're talking about big corporations like Petcos and PetSmarts, I mean the CEOs and all the big hats up there and the big skyscrapers. I don't know where the Petco CEOs are, but they're not looking at the day-to-day stuff. They're not looking at the pets and how they're taken care of. These guys are looking at charts. Maybe not charts, I don't know. They're looking at a piece of paper with numbers and markings on them. These people are not looking at pets as living animals, they're looking at them as price tags and inventory. When we're talking about supply and demand, it's a pretty easy concept. You know, the more that customers are buying the product, the more products they are gonna have on the shelves in order to sell. That scenario does not change with even the Petcos and PetSmarts. Now, if more animals are selling, they're going to be housing more animals, hence why you're seeing a lot more of the popular choices like the bearded dragons, leopard geckos, and crested geckos, as far as, say, like the tarantulas, chameleons, and, say, iguanas. I do feel for the people that think they are doing the right thing in this. You know, the animal looks sad, you know you can give it a better home, now let's bring it in. And I guess inherently, if you really want to bring that animal home, then purchasing it is a thing that you can do. I personally don't believe it's the right thing because, as I've stated, and I'll get into a little bit more, it is just hurting more animals. However, it is fine if that's what you feel you want to do. However, labeling it a rescue is not only accurate, but I'll get into why it's bad. Okay, so we covered supply and demand and talked a little bit about how this affects animals. So we'll get into why this rescuing is not an ideal scenario and why it's inhibiting animals, as I stated probably 20 times now. So we'll build a little scenario. You've got this super sad looking gargoyle. I mean, look about how sad and pathetic it is. This thing needs a new home. This poor little dude. Oh my goodness, that poor face. This animal is being mistreated and neglected, and you know that you can give it a better home and take care of it and nurse it back to health. So that's what you do. You get the little Petco employee to come box it up for you, and you purchase the animal. Congratulations, you rescued this one gargoyle gecko and gave him a proper home. Now let's talk about what happens after that. You brought that neglected animal home and raised it back to health. Now it is a healthy, thriving animal in your care. Congratulations. Here's what's happening at the Petcos and PetSmarts meanwhile while you're doing that. So the general manager of the store is noticing that they're running low on gargoyle geckos now because you decided to rescue that guy and got him out of there. So they make a little check mark and make sure to buy more because these sold out, so we should obviously get more to sell more. But now you're running out of crickets for your gargoyle gecko here, and so you gotta make a trip back to that Petco in order to get some crickets for it, which, by the way, why are you buying supplies at Petco and PetSmart? They're way out of price. I mean, I swear to God, I'm trying to make a funny rant and this dude's just jumping all out. One more jump and you're going back in your enclosure, bud. Why But seriously, why are you buying your supplies, man? Go to your local pet stores. There's stuff everywhere, and even then, just get them online at that point. I mean, just don't support Petco and PetSmart, people. They're bad places. Anyway, in this imaginary scenario, you're walking into this Petco to get some crickets, and you stroll by the reptile section. We all do it. Every pet store I go to, I gotta check out what reptiles they have. And then you notice they have not only one new mistreated gargoyle gecko, they have 3. So due to you purchasing this animal, why yes, it is a purchase. You went up to the front desk and you purchased this mistreated, neglected animal. You did not bring it home, you did not rescue it. This was not an adoption fee. You bought this animal. So because of the purchase that you made, they decided they need to stock up further on gargoyle geckos because they are selling, and now there are 3 animals being mistreated instead of 1. This is why big chain pet stores like this will not change. Everyone talks about how these animals are being mistreated and neglected and they need to stop it, but why would they stop it? When you're dealing with big corporations like this, it's all about a money game. There is no morality in any of it for them. Now you have people coming nationwide buying these animals thinking they are rescuing or adopting it, while also having the newcomers, the newbies of the community, getting them from Petcos and PetSmarts for the first time, not really realizing how bad these stores really are, and they're making money. Big corporations look at quotas like this where they are making money off of these animals and stop. Simple answer, they won't, and there's really only one way to stop the live animal selling in pet stores, and it's pretty simple. Stop buying animals from them. It's real easy, guys. Don't stop buying them. Stop. It's a pretty simple tactic. Going back into our supply and demand discussion, no demand equals no supply. A pretty good perk that works for this tactic is the fact that they are live animals. They're not a product that's just gonna sit on the shelf. These things are eating money the longer they are there. Now for any pet store, you have petty costs such as substrate, the electricity that's being used, light bulbs, UVB in some cases, and of course the insects and or frozen rodents that they're being fed to weekly or daily. As big corporations see that these animals are now costing them money instead of bringing money in, there really isn't a point for them to sell them. I know what you're thinking now, because everyone makes this fucking rebuttal at me whenever I make my point about this. And that rebuttal is, oh Dakota, it'll never happen. Petcos are too big. You can never, no one's never gonna stop. Just stop. If we all stop, they're gonna stop. I don't understand. Oh, fuck, man. Joe down the street's not gonna do it, so I'm not gonna do it. Okay, well, if you both do it, then they won't buy them anymore. Fuck. Man, every argument that I have about this is always such a small-minded and just like simple rebuttal. There's no actual big picture things on how we can get this closed down. Now I get it, and why this thing becomes so controversial is because it's a small picture versus big picture. Now yes, I'm not going to deny it, you will have some deaths with this tactic. Some animals are not going to survive because Petco does not know how to take care of their animals, and if you still purchase from these animals, those animals are going to make it. Or at the very least have a better chance of making it. But if we are looking at the bigger picture here, what you're doing is still supplying Petco with monetary funds for them to buy more live animals and mistreat them. So you're really just fueling the problem here while taking away a small issue. I'm just gonna put this little piece of information in the middle of the video, so when people leave me a nasty comment about it, I'm just gonna timestamp where this is, because it's obvious I didn't watch the whole video and just, read the title and was like, oh, you can get rescues from Petco, they do have adoptions. Yeah, watch the video before you leave a nasty comment. So yes, Petcos and PetSmarts do usually have some sort of rescues or adoptions, usually more small animal based, but I have seen a few reptiles be listed as adoptable where the price is lowered, or in some cases they are free. So yes, Petcos and PetSmarts do offer adoption. However, this argument and rant isn't for that. It's for the people buying the animals and then labeling them on Facebook groups as a rescue. Back to the topic at hand, we have the small picture people versus the big picture people, everyone giving their statement where all the small picture people are saying, this just can't be done. Petcos are too big of a place, they're too big of a corporation, they're everywhere, you can never get enough people to stop rescuing them. Well, boys and girls, I would like to tell you a little story on how this tactic was successfully done at a little place called Pet Life. Now, they're not called Pet Lifes anymore, at least no one near me. They might still be called Pet Lifes at other places, however, that name was bought by a corporation, and here's what happened. So Pet Life was an independently owned company. I don't know if they're just in the New England area. I've never seen any when I was living in Texas. However, I wasn't really big into reptiles while I was there, but up here I see them a few places in so far New Hampshire and Maine, but I think I've seen one like Massachusetts as well. It's a pretty small scale chain pet store with the sale of feeders, goldfish, really a number of tropical fish, and then also reptiles and small animals. Now, Pet Life eventually back in 2017, I just started working there for a little bit when they initiated this policy, so I think it was like 2017, 2018, something like that. Pet Life was bought out by a corporation. They've now renamed the Pet Life near me. I think it's like Royal Companion, Royal Champion, something, same store, just different name. Everything's rebadged and relogoed. Logoed. No logos there. So one of the first policies that this corporation took a look at was the fact that this is a smaller chain pet store, so profits and the profit margins are a little bit tighter than, say, anything like a big pet store where they get hundreds of thousands of supplies in bulk. Now that's when they took a look at that little quota and looked at and said, huh, these animals are costing us more money than we're getting by selling them. So they went, hey, here's a good idea, let's get rid of them. And would you look at that, folks, the simple supply and demand tactic, it worked! They don't sell animals anymore! Yep, don't sell animals anymore. All the reptiles and small animal sales were discontinued. It's actually how I got that giant thing over there, because I got it, there's a video about it, I'll link it right here. I got the giant, you know, what they use to house the small animals and reptiles, I got one for free, and now it's in my house. So anyone that's going to leave me a comment in the comment sections, or probably in the Facebook groups. No one really comments negatively on my YouTube. They just go to YouTube and leave their little nasty feedback.
Hi, how's it going? Post-editing Dakota here, just editing this video. And yes, what you heard was right. I literally just said no one goes to YouTube for negative comments. They just go over to YouTube to leave me negative comments.
But for any of you that are gonna leave that comment, it doesn't work, there's too many Petcos, we can't all just stop buying. I mean, you can all stop buying, just each one of you stop doing it. It's simple. But yes, for the people saying that it can't be done, it is done. It was done on a smaller scale, and it can be done on a bigger scale. So we got that rant out of the way. Let's talk a little bit on really what a rescue is, and I'll go in a little bit about those pet story, because I've gotten a few. I gotten the Tokay, Big Red, and then the Gargoyle, who does not have a name yet. And I'll talk a little bit on how I came across or got these animals, and we'll go into the definition, really, like what a rescue is versus what you are doing. Now, before you come at me with the whole, oh, Dakota, if you get it from a reptile rescue, there's adoption fees, so you have to give them money. Well, boys and girls, that's called adopting, and it's a rescue who rescued the animal. They did not buy it from Max Reptiles. Wait, is it Max Reptiles or Reptiles by Mac? Wait, why do I care? I'm not plugging them. Now, as some of you guys know on the channel, I'm a pretty big advocate for rescuing. I don't think you need to rescue everything. In fact, most of my reptiles are bought by reputable breeders or importers, because, you know, I do some wild-caught importation here as well. But for the most part, the reptiles, not too many rescues, but really with everything else, is all rescues. Not talking about the reptile side of DBCB Exotics, we have 3 dogs here that were all rescues, and 3 parrots here that were all rescues. Each of these animals have a pretty tragic case. I'll end up doing a video, you know, a little sad story on each one of them, because it's pretty heartbreaking, but knowing that they have a good home now, it really, going back to what the beginning of the video was talking about, it really is a great experience when you get this animal that was neglected and raise it back up and see, you know, what the change can really look like. Then finishing up this video, we'll talk a little bit on how you can rescue from pet stores, and it's what I was talking about a little bit earlier with like the gargoyle gecko and the Tokay. So yes, I did get these animals from a local pet store of mine. I did not pay a single cent for them. This is a pet store I worked at years back where I'm still friends with the manager, and every so often when he has animals that really don't sell and stay there for, you know, months and months and are just eating away their profits with feeding, as I said, you know, bugs, electricity, so on and so forth, he wants them gone, and it's better to give the animal away for free for a pet store than continue having it and it eating their profits. I mean, even for this, I don't really consider it a rescue because, I don't know, the animals weren't like super not I mean, they could have been taken care of better, but they're not like neglected and like emaciated and dehydrated. I mean, they were pretty good. I just kind of got free animals. But even by that definition, makes way more sense of it being a rescue than literally giving Petco money and taking the animal home and then saying you rescued it. Yep, that's probably about to cover it. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for the video. I hope you boys and girls enjoyed this little rant. I think that's it. I think I covered everything. Did I yell like this and really menacingly and just go off on a tangent? Yeah, I think I did that. Alrighty, well, if you liked the video, please feel free to give us a thumbs up. If you want to see some more of my animals or breeding products, because you only got to see one gecko, and I have so much more here. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at DBCB Exotics. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.